Top 10% pay almost the entire tax bill, 80% of the taxes. Bottom 50% pay next to zero. That's redistribution. It's that simple. Really it's not that complicated. The thing is they now want a wealth tax, a confiscation of wealth. You know, they want a second, a third, a fourth bite at the apple. You risk your money, you invest it, then you're going to get hit with a capital gains tax. That's money you already paid taxes on.
Corporate bootlicker Sean Hannity is once again pretending that the United States is just too hard on the wealthy, these poor wealthy people. His explanation of our country's tax structure is unsurprisingly disingenuous and extremely biased toward the rich. But that's why we're going to once again debunk the nonsense that he's spewing. Now, the Wall Street Journal reports that Americans who earn less than $1 million a year actually make most of their money, through their wages. But the Americans who earn more than $1 million a year are actually getting rich from their investments. This image, in fact, helps to visualize what I'm talking about here. So as you can see, the vast majority of long-term capital gains, $954 billion worth, belongs to the wealthiest Americans. The other income groups don't even come close to that much wealth. This also translates to massive tax advantages for the ultra wealthy because long-term gains have a maximum tax rate of just 20%. And guess what? That's significantly less than the max marginal tax rate of 37% on earned wages. Now, keep in mind that investors don't even have to pay taxes on these assets until they're sold and the gains are realized. So what the ultra wealthy typically does is they apply for loans using their investments as collateral without ever having to sell or pay taxes on them. The rich are well versed in these tax avoidance schemes, and that's why they pay the federal government very little in taxes relative to the percentage of taxes ordinary wage earners have to shell out every year. This was actually highlighted in a bombshell report by ProPublica back in 2021, which revealed that the 25 richest Americans saw their worth rise a collective $401 billion from 2014 to 2018. And they paid a total of just $13.6 billion in federal income taxes in those 5 years. The IRS data shows this, and that's a staggering sum, but it amounts to a true tax rate of only 3.4%. Let me ask you guys something, okay? How many of you paid a tax rate of 3.4%? Pretty sure you paid a lot more than that. Now, by the end of 2018, the 25 were worth $1.1 trillion. For comparison, it would take 14.3 million ordinary American wage earners put together to equal that same amount of wealth. The personal federal tax bill for the top 25 in 2018, $1.9 billion. The bill for the wage earners, $143 billion. These millionaires and billionaires don't even have to dodge the law to get away with such low tax rates. They're doing all of this legally. All of their strategies that we explained to you are perfectly legal. But to add insult to injury, we have to put up with stooges like Hannity who are paid to pretend that the rich just pay too much in taxes. They're really victimized by it. Taxation is theft. Sadly, he's not the only corporate media doofus who's crying on behalf of the rich. Let's take a look.
The notion that we're fat cats, the shareholders are fat cats and have been overly rewarded. We haven't seen this. That's class warfare, and it's very shocking to hear class warfare.
That's right. So last week, CNBC's Jim Cramer flipped out over statements made by United Auto Workers president Shawn Fain. Much like Teamsters president Sean O'Brien, Fain was recently elected as part of a reformist movement to end corruption and once more represent rank and file workers at the union. Now, Fain's biggest task at the moment is negotiating a new contract with the big three US automakers, which of course includes Ford, GM, and Stellantis, AKA Chrysler. Didn't realize that they had rebranded. Anyway, their current contract expires on September 14th. And from the looks of things, Fain is basically ready to rumble. Here's some of the clips from a video that Fain posted yesterday after receiving a contract proposal from Stellantis.
Stellantis knows our members deserve more, and they know the public is sick of seeing corporations and the rich continue to make out like bandits while the working class gets left further and further behind. That's why the company, they've recently made multiple statements to the media claiming that they are not seeking a concessionary agreement in this round of negotiations. And I want to tell you, UAW family, that just isn't true. Stellantis has passed over a list of initial proposals that are riddled with givebacks. UAW family, I'm going to be blunt. Stellantis' proposals are a slap in the face. They're an insult to our members' hard work over the last 4 years. When we get things like this from the company and they want to sit there and talk about they're not asking for concessions or looking for concessions, everything they're looking for in this document is about concessions. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do with their proposal. I'm going to file it in its proper place because that's where it belongs, the trash.
Yes, I love that. Now, you can probably tell why corporations and corporate media are a little spooked by Fain. Jim Cramer, of course, not a fan of that move.
The fellow who's running it is just going around telling, like, if you walked in there, he would tell you. I mean, he says horrible things. He's talking about a kleptocracy, that the people who own these stocks are just bad people. I mean, you know, Americans own these. I mean, it's like it's your 401k.
Yeah, I haven't been focused.
Oh, you've got to focus on this guy.
All right.
This guy is just, he was made for our show.
We should bring him on?
Oh, I want him on. Sean Fain, I think he should be like a co-host. He is so electric. He is third rail. He is using rhetoric that Elizabeth Warren would say, keep your mouth shut.
That was hilarious. Okay, absolutely hilarious. By the way, I didn't see Fain say anything about ordinary people who buy stock from the big three. Okay, he didn't call them bad people. But in case you were wondering, the big three have definitely, they've got a ton of money, ton of resources to spare for their workers. They just choose not to share the profits with their workers. And keep in mind, these are the individuals who are generating the revenue for the company in the first place, or the companies in the first place. So Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis made a combined $21 billion, not in revenue, in profits, in just the first 6 months of this year. That's on top of the $250 billion in North American profits that the big three made over the last decade. Big three CEOs saw their pay spike 40% on average over the last 4 years. But God forbid they share any of that wealth with their workers. Now in 2021, GM CEO Mary Barra made over $29 million. Ford CEO James Farley made almost $23 million. That's 1 year. And Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares made about $21 million. Again, that is how much money they were raking in 1 year. The shareholders are sitting pretty. Since the fourth quarter of last year, all of the big three have announced dividends for their shareholders. Ford and GM, to their credit, haven't engaged in any corporate stock buyback program, so I guess that's good news. But since May, Stellantis has bought back over $1 billion in shares. And speaking of Stellantis, their contract proposals that made Fain angry included cuts to retiree medical benefits, fewer vacation days for new hires, expanding forced overtime, cuts to the company's 401k contribution, eliminating the moratorium on outsourcing, and perhaps most alarming, the unilateral right to just change parts of the contract without even holding a vote with the union. Meanwhile, the union's demands are simple. They include eliminating tiers on wages and benefits, substantial wage increases, restoring the cost of living adjustment, defining benefit, pension for all workers, reestablishing retiree medical benefits, creating the right to strike over plant closures, getting more paid time off to be with families, and more. I mean, ordinary things that allow people to do more than just work all day and get paid little to do it. Now, according to Cramer, fighting for those demands makes Fain a communist.
It must stop. I mean, honestly, this is not capitalism, all right? It's not capitalism. It's some other form. I took 7 courses on communism at Harvard because I was in a particularly bad period at Harvard. There should be an 8th course, Sean Fain, and what he had to do with Engels. It was Marx and Engels and Fain.
Harvard's not bringing their best. We're not winning with Harvard, apparently. What an embarrassment to Harvard. Now, Kramer and Hannity are nothing more than tools for the rich to make workers feel like they have it too good. Don't complain. How dare you demand better pay and better working conditions? Meanwhile, thanks to decades of deregulation, union busting, and loose tax laws, the rich have successfully re-engineered our political system to serve themselves and the corporations they run. Don't believe us? Then take it from ultra-billionaire Warren Buffett instead, who's quoted as saying, "There's been class warfare going on for the last 20 years, and my class has won." Indeed.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.